After losing his opponent last minute, Darren Till, Marvin Vettori is now set to face off against Kevin Holland in the main event of UFC on ABC 2 on April 10th. Yes, Big Mouth has stepped in once again late notice to keep his train running of having as many fights as possible within a calendar year. Just coming off of that loss of Brunson up against a very dangerous Vettori. Let's get some predictions. So, Matt, I'll start with you. How do you see this fight going?
Well, based on the Kevin Holland that we saw recently, I have no idea what to expect from this fight. I would expect that he's going to come in and still be the very talkative fighter that he is to try to get in, Marvin's head a little bit. I think it will actually work more so with a guy like Marvin Vettori, who is, very vocal, and he's shown in the past like people can get under his skin, as we've seen, him have interactions in hotel lobbies and things like that with guys. So I think it could work better with him than it did against Brunson, but if he actually just, focuses on getting the fight done, it could be a very interesting one. But I also expect Marvin Vettori to come out and really lean on his wrestling, just like Brunson did against Holland, and just kind of grind it out. I think it could be a very winnable fight for Vettori, but it all really depends on how much Kevin Holland shows up to really fight. And if he shows up to really fight, he can make it interesting.
Yeah, I pretty much completely agree with what Matt was saying there. And, when we talked about this the other day, Pat, and speculating if this would end up happening, I still feel this way where I'm like not super interested and, believing in Holland after that performance against Brunson, which really just kind of deflated, my expectations or interest in him, because I was kind of on board with the hype, after he, defeated Jacare, and I thought he was going to knock out Brunson, would find that moment, but just the lack of kind of seriousness, especially as the fight went on, and when you're clearly down and couldn't quite pull the trigger, and he seemed to get more serious towards the end, but it just wasn't enough. He was continuing to talk. He was celebrating from getting a takedown in the 5th round. Like, it's the little things, I guess, but come on, man. Like, I need to see, you got to go out there and really try to win. That wasn't enough. So in this fight with Vettori, I think that matchup wise, and what Matt was saying about the talk and all that, that'll definitely be more likely to get in Vettori's head. And I just think stylistically he'll play more on the feet with Kevin Holland, which gives Kevin Holland a much better chance to find a shot, of course. But I think Vettori's been proven to be pretty durable, and so is Kevin Holland. That's the thing, is like, I would like to think that Vettori has a pretty good shot of being able to finish him, but despite being not so serious and Kevin Holland always talking, he's a very tough guy. He's proven that, and Brunson did hurt him in that first round of the fight. So it's just it'll be interesting. And we both agreed, I think, that Brunson would have made more sense, but for short notice, maybe not so much, especially for Brunson. But yeah, I'm just glad to see really that Vettori is still getting to fight. The guy's been really screwed over, as he continues to mention, with opponents falling out nonstop. So it's really good that he's still getting to fight, just in general.
It's very difficult to disagree with anything you guys have already said. But I will say that Kevin Holland this is like such a gift opportunity for him. He has the chance to completely erase from our memories that performance against Derek Brunson, even for all of its merits. The fact that he didn't get his hand raised at the end, he has the chance to erase that and reclaim his space in the title race. I do think that he's pretty evenly matched with Vettori as well. We can talk about Vettori being able to out wrestle him the way Brunson did, but Brunson's a better wrestler. And even then, Holland was still pretty capable. Like, he still defended himself very well. He didn't take much damage on the ground. He was able to, a couple times he threw up some surprise submissions that made Brunson have to readjust what he was doing on the feet. It was, we know what Holland is capable of. I think if we are to see that crazy moment from Kevin Holland, I think it might be now. A short notice fight that plays right into the way he likes to operate. Vettori being a more emotional, sort of hothead type of guy, that you can pry and poke and prod and get him off his game. I mean, this is sort of a red carpet rollout for Kevin Holland right here. So I think right now he's playing with house money. I'm just gonna go on the limb and say he gets the win here. How? I'm not sure. I could see him, getting one of those crazy, just sudden surges of offense and finishing Vettori. But I could also see him kind of almost outclassing him to a decision. So yeah, give me Kevin Holland in this one.
All right, well, that's our first prediction, and we'll get to Matt and Drake's prediction after this as well. I mean, my thoughts, there's not a lot to cover here, and especially pointed out, this is a gift business-wise, right? This is the promotion saying, here's another opportunity to, get a win over a big-named opponent, and could you imagine, because I totally can, Kevin Holland beating Vettori and then getting ranked above Brunson? It's totally possible. So this, again, is kind of a gift for Holland, but it is short notice. As we talked about, Drake, when we speculated that Holland might actually step in, this is a kind of a nightmare matchup for Holland a little bit. If you look at Vettori and his wrestling credentials, he's one of, if not really the only middleweight to be able to take Adesanya down multiple times. And while he did struggle holding them there, Adesanya is not an easy guy to take down, especially against the fence, which Vettori was able to do. So I think as Vettori's skills have grown, we saw what he was able to do on the feet with Jack Hermansson. I don't think that, it's going to be a knockout for Vettori here, but we've seen Holland when you've got, someone that's got more wrestling credentials mixed with some submission techniques. We've seen him get choked out before. And I could easily see Vettori getting a submission in this type of matchup, right? We saw what he did to Carl Roberson. I do agree he's a little bit emotional. I like Matt's point about that, where he might, Holland might get in his head a little bit, might force him to make a mistake that way. But his chin seems to be iron, and I think he's going to be able to get Holland down and get the submission. So I'm going solid Vettori here. Especially on short notice, I can't imagine Holland being able to stop the takedowns and do anything there.
I was just going to say, I agree with you. I'm going with Vettori. The betting line has him at a minus 275 right now, and I think that's an appropriate line based on Holland's last performance. The fact that, some people said that he mentally broke in that fight or whatever the case may be. The guy showed up and he didn't seem interested in getting off of his back. So it's kind of hard to judge what we're going to get in the cage here, but based on everything, like the things that you were just saying, Pat, I'm going with Vettori here because he just seems like a guy that's not going to go in there and really mess around unless if, he does allow himself to get taken out of his game by Holland's trash talk throughout the fight. So I'm going with Vettori to get the dub here.
Yeah, it's going to be 3 for 3 in this one. I agree with pretty much all the points and factors that are being brought up here, though, in cases for both guys. I understand Ant entirely with where he's coming from, and I think that the short notice probably does help Holland over Vettori, but at the same time, Vettori is simply the better fighter right now. And just overall, the package he's bringing, more serious, as we said, that's important, I think, considering how the last fight went for Kevin Holland. And I would imagine he'd be more serious, especially given this this gift, as we've been saying, of another main event against a guy who is ranked, right next to the guy that just beat him convincingly, like possibility to skip over the guy who, 50-45, 50-44 him, whatever you scored it. I don't know if that'll happen, but crazier things have happened. It's the UFC rankings. Either way, I think Vettori will get it done. I like Pat's point about a submission. Vettori very sneaky for submissions, and even though he has more submissions, at least recently, than knockouts, I believe, don't have his record up, we always we don't think of him for that because he's kind of very aggressive, especially on the feet, very fun striker. But I think that he should be able to, comfortably win this fight. I think that he will be in danger in a couple spots because, like I said, I think he will play more on the feet in exchange with Holland, but ultimately he'll get it done and fight smart and, I think a unanimous decision in the end.
All right, so we've got 3 for Vettori, 1 for Holland. Let us know in the comments who you think is going to win this fight, how you see the fight going. Is it going to be Vettori taking him down getting the submission over Holland and, coming out victorious here is going to be as Ant thinks it's going to go, where Holland is able to make adjustments in his game at short notice. He's able to get in Vettori's head. He ends up getting a big win. Let us know your thoughts. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, bell notification. And either way, it's just good to see that Vettori has a, replacement here. Regardless how you feel about Kevin Holland, it should be a good banger of a fight come April 10th.